I guess this is good as time as any to do a short video on Buttermilk Bran muffins. It's not like we need extra videos about that. However, I have a few tricks. One of them is, instead of using an entire cup of bran, I'm going to use 2/3 a cup of bran and 1 cup of wheat germ for flavor, extra flavor. Also excellently good for you. Just using my hands here because I have it all in one measuring cup. And then in order to soften that, we'll put the buttermilk and let it sit for 5 minutes while we cream the butter and sugar together. Shaking it as you would. Adding the milk here, the buttermilk. A little more. I think that's a little foamy top. And just get a small spoon, sorry for the delay, and get this a little bit mixed up. We want to soften all of this bran before it gets baked and becomes hard as rock inside your muffins. Okay, so that shows me what the wet ingredients are more or less going to look like, minus the eggs and vanilla. Okay, put that aside. And I wanted to show you a little trick with the papers. If we're lucky, these will rise up over the edge of the tin. And so I think it's a good trick to spray. You don't have to grease them when you're using baking papers, but it's a great idea to cover the top with some baking spray. I don't recommend using butter flavored baking spray. This is just regular oil with some flour in. And you place your cups in like that. They will be happy. Everything should be good. The oven is setting to preheat to 350, which is a quite normal baking time for many and most baked goods. Not everything, just a lot. And I have, just so you know, I have 2 eggs here at room temperature. For baked goods as opposed to pastry, it's good to have room temperature ingredients. The buttermilk is at room temperature, and everything is at room temperature, including the 1/4 cup of butter, 1/4 cup of light brown sugar packed in the 1/4 cup. And we need to start out slow, but that's going to be going for 5 minutes because we want light and fluffy butter combined with the brown sugar. It's not a lot of brown sugar. In the meantime, I'm going to sift together 1.5 cups of flour with 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, just double checking. 1/2 teaspoon kosher salt, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. We want these to rise nicely. It's always the case, often the case that I have a very fine mesh sieve here, so the kosher salt doesn't want to go through it. Just make sure you get it in. Those are the dry ingredients. This is a very simple recipe, but I'm making a change by using, this is half a cup of slivered almonds, and let's keep going. And I'll be using a cup of blueberries, which I'll toss. That went by itself, didn't it? I'll toss in some flour so they have exterior friction and don't drop to the bottom. So we have a half a cup, and then we have 1 cup. Oops, I lost one. Let's see here. Doesn't have to be perfect. That would bring it up to 1.5, wouldn't it? There's only so many you can fit in. That's good. I'm going to throw some flour in there. Shake it together. Just to get it all coated, including the nuts. That's going to take a few more minutes and I'll be right back. So that's light and fluffy. It's not a lot of sugar and butter there as you might have with a cake or most cookies, but that's because we have, these are actually good for you or good enough for you. So here's 2 things. I want to add 2 eggs, 1 at a time. Get that mixed in. Half a teaspoon of pure, real, natural vanilla. I get this from my local Cook's Corner, great gourmet store. Half. This is a very small batch, right? So all the amounts are quite low. And then here's the thing. I want 6 tablespoons of molasses. And that is basically 106 milliliters. So instead of measuring 6, I'm going to spray the inside so it releases. And measure it this way all at once. A smidge over 100. Oops, never fails. This will never stop being sticky for the rest of its life now that I spilled it. Now I'm pouring that in. Hopefully this trick, let's just turn this off. Hopefully this trick works because that's why I showed you the spraying. Yeah, it's all coming out with a little help. Okay, so that's one trick. Hardly any left. Okay, that's what we want. This all goes so quickly. I'll mix that all in, maybe a little higher. Because we want to get this butter mixture off the bottom. Perhaps the butter wasn't as room temperature as I wanted, but it wasn't cold, so I remember that much. Okay. That's actually providing quite a lot of liquid. Not diet. Changed my mind. 100 milliliters of molasses. No, not diet. Okay. And then on low, just going to put the dry in, mix it just until combined. You never want to overbeat anything like a cake or a muffin. In fact, it's often recommended you do this by hand, but we have machines for that kind of thing, and we can use restraint in the hand at some point, knowing the limitations of the machinery. Okay, so that's quite nice. Very molassesy. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Why it looks so strange? Forgot the bran and the wheat germ. And the buttermilk. I knew there was something going on with this. Anyway, I like to include mistakes because we're all human and we know that things happen, right? I knew it wasn't quite right. Not enough bulk. Okay, so back in with the mixing for just a moment. Had to eat that, sorry. Now we're just blending to get it together. Not fast, just mixing. And in fact, I can tell that the mixing is getting there, but not quite there. And that's when you stop. And then you just use the hand method, which has been used for a million years before invention of standing mixers. The way our grandmas, mostly grandmas, I don't know any, I'm sure some grandpas made muffins, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, so that looks awesome. And then we have the aforementioned slivered almonds and blueberries in flour to keep them from falling to the bottom. Can get rid of that. And this is definitely something you need to do you need to fold this in by hand. And by folding, just go from the bottom, go from the middle, go from the bottom, stir up the bottom, go through the middle, stir up the bottom, until you see everything is incorporated enough. I don't want to see all that extra flour. I probably put too much in. I just want to see the berries, and that's it. There it is. And without going into much detail, I want to show you, because everyone knows how to fill a cupcake tin. I just want to show you my little extravagance, which is I've decided to top my healthful muffins with something I made for another dessert which is, it's a quarter cup. Quarter cup's about right. I might have to use my ice cream scoop. That's not easy enough. I'll do this once more. It's quite sticky. That's about right. I think that's about right. Okay, twice more. That's what I'm looking for. A nice round. It doesn't have to be round. It just has to be around a quarter of a cup, and I don't think that's correct. I can see blueberries. I can see bran. But I just want to show you before I finish that I'm adding some crumble to make it even more healthy. Healthful. I'm going to do an experiment. Well, everything about this is an experiment. I've never done sliced almonds before, and I've never done it with this white chocolate cocoa butter, which is white by nature, blend with butter flour and some milk powder. Actually, I don't even know if there's any flour in there. I can't remember. But it's from, it's what I adorned my peach sorbet with, and I didn't like it. Everyone said it looked like my sorbet had cooties. So, okay, I'll finish this and pop it in the oven for 15 to 18 minutes and show you in the end. Okay, so I just wanted to see how it looks with the crumble on top. This is an experiment because this crumble is at least a third cocoa butter. Oh look, I found a blueberry. That's for me for later. And this is going in for 15 to 18 minutes at 350. Also, I should mention, you saw me put 1 scoop in each. Turns out that the batter suggested to me that that wasn't enough, and I put 2 scoops. And it turns out that the batter and the recipe I'm working with here and kind of reinventing with almonds and blueberries and chocolate crumble requires 2 scoops in each of the 12 paper muffin cups. And we'll see you later when it's done. All right, let's see. I think these are done now. Wow, that looks good. Bang. So when I said it would take or might take 15 to 18 minutes, that was pure fantasy. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking of gingerbread because of the molasses. Gingerbread cookies take about 10 to 12 to 15 minutes. I just want to bring one out to see if it's so hot. But I'm doing this just to see if the berries stayed mixed, distributed evenly, and I think they did. And I can see that there's almonds on top. And the greatest part of this experiment is that the crumble didn't just melt and distribute right into the batter. It stayed crumbly on top, and I think that I and any one of my taste testers are going to enjoy this. I actually am quite thrilled that the white chocolate cocoa butter crumble held its formation on top, because that's what makes these different. And when they cool down on this rack, I'll turn the oven off, that'll help. I'm gonna have something nice to share with my friends. Thanks so much.